Alright, so we're basically going to be doing the opposite of what we did last class. So last class they gave us a power, we got rid of it by using the root. Now they're giving us a root and we're going to get rid of it by using a power. Okay? Alright, so step 1, isolate the radical or rational exponent. I want that guy by itself. What needs to leave?
The 1.
The 1. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And I get the square root of y minus 2 is equal to negative 4. Step 2 says to change any exponents to a radical. Do you see any exponents in this problem? No. So we can basically skip over step 2. I'm just going to rewrite it. Step 3 says raise each side to the power of the root. This is what we're doing. We are trying to get rid of this root. If nothing's there inside the root, it's understood to be what? 2, which is the square root. So to get rid of that square root, I'm going to raise it to the power of 2 on each side. What you do to one side, you'll do to the other side. So now, my power and my root will cancel out, and I just have y minus 2 left over. And what is negative 4 in parentheses squared?
Negative 8.
Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. You're thinking about, so what you just said is what I see all the time. You guys do like 4 times 2, so make sure you're squaring it. Step 4, we're solving for the variable. How do I solve?
Plus 2.
Plus 2. So y equals 18. All right, so we got our answer. The last step is to check your answer. Plug this back into your calculator, but instead of y, put in 18. So type in the square root of 18 minus 2. Scroll over and then do minus 1 and see if you get negative 5.
Square root.
Yep. Minus 2.
No, it's 3.
It's 3, so we did not get the right answer because they said it was negative 5. So even though we did all our work right, we can write no solution. Okay? On your quiz, you will have to do that.
Oh, it won't.
You will. Meaning, just remember to check your answer. If it works, put a check mark by it. If it doesn't, put no solution. All right, let's try the one right next to it. All right. So I have to isolate the radical or the rational exponent, which means the x to the power of 1/3. I want that by itself. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And I get 4x to the power of 1/3 is equal to 24. I still don't have my x by itself, so I need to divide by what? Huh? The 4. Okay, so I'm left with x to the power of 1/3 is equal to 6. All right, step 2 says to change any exponents to a radical. Notice this exponent here is 1/3, right? Which means power over what? Power over root. This is what we're doing. We are changing it into a radical. Okay, we have an exponent, we have to change it to a radical. So what goes under the radical?
Like
No, what's
3.
my, nope. What's my big letter or number? X? The exponent doesn't go under here. All right, what's the power?
1.
1. We don't have to write the power of 1. What's my root?
3.
3, so that goes there. So all we did from this step to that step is we just rewrote it. Those two things are the exact same. It's just that for us to solve it, we can't have an exponent. Can't have an exponent there. Now, we're doing what we just did. We are going to raise it to whatever the root is. So I have a root of 3, so I'm going to raise it to what? 3. So we can cancel each other out. So my my 3's cancel out because my power and my root. I'm left with x. And then what is 6 cubed? Not 6 times 3. 216. Good. Ronaldo, while you have your calculator, can you plug in 216 into the original answer and see if we get 19? So you would type in 4 times 216 to the power of 1/3, scroll over, and then minus 5.
Do I put the 1/3 in parentheses?
Yeah.
Then you just scroll over.
Mm-hmm. And then minus 5. You get 19? Mm-hmm. Good. So, all you have to do is put a check. This one works. It is a solution. All right, let's go ahead and look at this. And extraneous, Alex and Ronaldo.
Dennis?
I think I know your voice by now.
2 years.
It's been a long time.
A long journey.
Oh, yeah. So an extraneous solution is when your math is correct, but the answer does not work in the equation. An extraneous solution is what we're checking for. After we get our answer, we're plugging it back in to see if we get whatever it said it should equal. If it doesn't equal anything, I want you guys to write no solution. Unless you want to write out the word extraneous. You can write no solution, you can abbreviate it, you can write,
We just write no so.
yeah, that's what I write. Okay, so let's practice. I am trying to get, because my x is attached to this radical, I want everything away from this. How do I get rid of this 3 in the front?
-3.
Yep, we're going to subtract 3 from each side. And I'm left with the square root of 2x minus 3 is equal to 5. Alright, so now I have my radical right where I want it. It's by itself. What is the root of this radical? What's this small number that should be there, but it's not? It's invisible.
2.
So it's a 2, this is square root. So I'm going to raise it each side to the power of 2. Because that's my radical. I want to do the opposite. So my power and my root will cancel out. And I'm left with 2x minus 3 is equal to, what's 5 squared? 25. Good. Remember, you don't have to put plus or minus there. You only put plus or minus when we actually write in the radical. Right here, we don't have to write a radical in there. All right, and now I can just solve for x.
There's 14.
I'm gonna add 3. What'd you get, Ronaldo?
14.
Okay, let's see.
14 times 2 is 20.
Oh yeah, you did. So x equals 14. If I plug that back into my calculator, I'm going to grab one. See if it works. Does it? So 3 plus
I just plug it
square
in.
root. Actually, I'll do it up here so you guys can see it.
Yeah, because I don't. I was getting confused. How am I going to put that 3 and then a plus and then
All right, so here's what we're doing. We have, you type in 3, right?
Yeah.
And then plus, and then the square root, so second, and then hit that x squared, and then 2. Instead of x, we're writing 14. What's next?
-3.
Minus 3 is still under the radical.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, wait for that.
Yeah, and then enter. And we get 8. So good. No, this is solution. Just put a check mark by it. It works.
Okay, next one is no solution. The answer
Okay.
is 0, so many times
Let's see.
0 times 0 squared is still 0.
Alright, on the next one, wait, here's what we gotta do. We want to get rid of one of these. I don't want to have both radicals on one side. It has to be equal. So we're basically gonna take this whole thing and move it to the other side. So I'm going to add it to the other side. Because now it's subtraction. So I'm adding it to the other side. So when I rewrite it, I have the square root of x plus 15 is equal to the square root of 3x plus 1. Does that make sense? Just move one over. Alright, because we have a square root and a square root equal to each other, I'm going to cancel both of them out. So that all I have left is x plus 15 is equal to 3x plus 1. And now we're just solving for x. You guys can solve it any way you like. I like to keep my x's positive, so I'm going to move the 1x over. So subtract x. I get 15 equals 2x plus 1.
Answer is
Alright, let's see. And then I subtract 1. 14 equals 2x divided by 2. You should get x equals 7. Did you plug it in yet, Ronaldo? Actually, nah. If you did plug it in, this one would work and you would get 0. But you would plug it back into your original, so you would type in the square root of 7 plus 15, and then slide over, minus the square root of 3x, or 3 times 7 plus 1, you'll get 0.
yeah.
What number is this one? Alright. So I want to get this by itself. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And I have 3 times the square root of x is equal to -9. How do I get x by itself here? Divide by 3. Good. That cancels out, so I'm left with the square root of x is equal to -3. Alright, so now that I have the radical by itself, I need to raise it to the power of the same root. What is the power, what's the root here? 2, so I'm going to raise it to 2. So my power and my root cancel out, and I have x equals -3 squared gives me 9. Make sure you put it in parentheses. Someone plug this in. It's a pretty easy one. See if it works. Wait, I don't think so. Let's see. We have 3 times the square root of 9.
It's 8.
Yeah, I think it's 8. So all of our work was right. Our answer just did not match up with what they got. So that's the Any questions on this one? Alright, moving on. Alright, I'm going to move this one all the way over because I don't want two radicals on one side. So I'm going to take this guy and move it over. It's already a negative, so when it moves over, it's going to be what?
Positive.
Positive. You can do it the way that I just did it by like adding the whole thing to both sides, but this could save you a lot of time. We're just moving it over. It'll become positive. Do I have the same radicals? Yes, I have the cube root of 3 and the cube root. So, I have 6x plus 9 is equal to 3. You guys solve that, let me know what you get.
1.
Anyone else get 1?
Yes, -1.
Negative 1. Should get negative 1. All right, let's do 5 and 6. On 5,
3 minus 9
Is it-
6.
what do I need to move to get rid of first?
Divide 8.
Divide each side by 8. So that cancels out, and I'm left with x plus 1 to the power of 1/4 is equal to negative 6. Do I like this exponent in my answer right now?
No.
No, so let's change it. We are going to change it to a radical. This is power over root. What goes under the radical? X plus 1, right? This whole thing goes under the radical. And what's my root here?
4.
4. My power is 1, so you can write the 1 there, but sometimes it just looks a little funny. You don't need it.
So then you got to power root by 4.
Alright, so how do I get rid of this power, how do I get rid of this root of 4? Ronaldo?
I don't know what you call it. Is it power?
Yeah.
So power from 4.
Yep. Good. And so my power and my root cancel out now, and all I have is x plus 1 is equal to, what is negative 6 divided by 4?
Negative 1,000.
Did you put the negative 6 in parentheses?
1296.
Oh,
be
yeah. No, I didn't.
Should be in positive. So 1296. So to solve this, I'm going to subtract 1.
We have to put them in parentheses?
If it's like that, yeah,
So the actual answer is 1295.
good. Any questions here? All right, everyone make sure you pay attention to this problem. Okay? I'm trying to get this guy by himself. I don't have to move, well, I am gonna move that over, but I don't have to right now because, do you see how this one has a radical?
Yeah.
So we're just basically solving it as normal, okay? We're just trying to get everything away from this. So I'm going to add x to both sides. You guys are going to complain when you see the rest of this problem, but that's fine. X plus 2 is equal to x. What's my root for this on the left side? 2, so I'm going to raise it to the power of 2. What What I do to one side, I do to the other. So my power and my root cancel out, and I'm left with
X plus 2 minus 2 equals 1.
equals what? What are you guys getting two?
I would just think it was one.
X squared.
X squared.
Yeah.
It's x squared. It's just gonna be x squared.
I thought X meant 1.
Can I solve for x here?
No.
No, because I have a regular x and an x squared. What I have to do is I have
Minus
to give
x.
everything to one side. Yep. I'm gonna subtract x. I'm gonna subtract 2. Subtract x. Subtract 2.
What?
I'm just moving everything to that side.
So what
It's
is
just like we normally would do. Like here, we subtracted 1 to both sides, right?
so why are we going to subtract?
Because we can't combine like terms here. So those cancel out. I have a 0 left over. None of these can combine, right? So I have x squared minus x minus 2. How do I solve that problem? We can't forget this one.
Combine.
Yeah, we have to factor. This is a factorial problem. Because I can't combine my x squared with my x, right? So let's get into our t-chart. I know. I need two numbers that multiply to give me -2 and add to give me -1. So that would be 2 and 1. What gets the negative?
The 1? 2.
The 2 gets the negative. Alright, at least this is the shortcut. So I'm going to have x minus 2, x plus 1. Because I have an equal sign here, I need to solve both. So x equals what? What's the opposite of -2? Positive 2 and -1. Those are my answers.
Questions are going to be on the test on this one.
Huh?
Any questions are going to be on the test?
1.
Aha, why?
1 out of 7.
Come on.
If you were to check this in your calculator, and you have to check both of them, it doesn't mean if you check the first one, the second one works. 2 will work. Let's see if -1 will work. -1 plus 2 gives me +1. Square root. Sometimes it's just easier to write it. One minus -1 equals 0. So wait, this is the wrong. Now I'm losing my mind. Ignore this. I'll check it on my calculator. So you said it worked for you?
Hold on, I got a question. What are we going to plug in? Because there's 2 answers.
You gotta do both of them. So the 2 will work. I gave you that one as a freebie. And then we have the square root of -1 plus 2 minus -1. Does that one work? No, because my answer is 2. I needed 0. So the first answer is a solution. The second answer is not a solution.
Would you put the, would you just leave it like that?
Yep. It's still a part of your answer. It's just not really an answer. So you're showing, yes, you checked it. 2 works. -1 does not work. Okay? So what I want you guys to do is turn the page. Yeah. Do these 3 practice problems. And then we'll check them.
Good, I think I said it.
Yes.
Alright, did you get +10 for number 2?
Yes.
And number 3, did you get 4 and 1?
I didn't do. I'm actually.
I just got 1. I mean, I just got 4.
Okay. Do you guys want to see number 1 and 2 or just skip to number 3?
Skip the 3.
All right.
Pretty please.
So number 3, my radical's by itself, so I'm just going to go ahead and square both sides. Okay? So that means my power and my root disappear, so I'm left with x equals x minus 2 times x minus 2. Make sure you don't distribute that 2. That's not what it means. It means we have x minus 2 twice. Alright, so this is how I would solve it. Remember FOIL? First, outer, inner, last. You multiply x times x, you get x squared. Your outer is x times negative 2, you get negative 2x. Your inner is negative 2 times x, so negative 2x. And then your last is x times negative 2. Wait, no.
Negative 2 times negative 2.
Your last would be
Negative. Positive 4.
put that right there. Positive 4. Alright, so we still have that x there, right?
You missed it.
Didn't?
Yeah, isn't it x squared minus 2x minus 2x minus plus 4?
Yes. Thank you. So I did first, outer, inner, and then last. Alright. I need to put, well first let's simplify this. So x squared, negative 2x minus 2x is negative 4x plus 4. We still have this x on the left side. If I want to make this all equal to 0, I'm going to subtract x, subtract x. On the left side, I just have 0. Then I have x squared minus 5x plus 4. So I had to FOIL first, then I had to move my x over. So now I need 2 factors. I need 2 numbers that add to give me negative 5 and multiply to give me positive 4. So 4 and 1, they're both negative. So I'm going to have x minus 4 and x minus 1. But when we solve it, they both become opposite signs. So I get x plus 4 and positive 1. And the 4 works. The 1 is no solution. It is extraneous.
Wait, why aren't they?
Huh?
Why isn't the 4 and the 1 negative?
Because they were in our factors, but then we had to make it equal to 0. So you took the opposite.
Oh.
I know these factoring problems are a little difficult, so let's look at your homework. Alright, I want you guys to...
Homework? Drake?
Alright, so I want you guys to turn to the back. I want you to do 1 through 10 for sure.
Oh, shut up.
Okay.
Yep. And 11 and 12, you can circle them. Those are bonus because those are both factors.
How many parts?
I don't know that. Number 8 is also factoring, so you can circle that, but you gotta do it. So you have to do 1 factoring problem, the other 2 you can do if you just want extra points.
I got you. What if you do a bonus one instead of the number 8?
Well, you can.
I bet. Well, I'm gonna do one.